So, I want to talk about an interesting new poll done by Zenter Rannsóknir about the status of gender equality in Iceland. So, according to this poll, 70% of those questioned believe that Iceland has achieved full gender equality. 70%. Just over 9% say that they are undecided or not sure, and just over 20% believe that full gender equality has not been reached. Now, if you look at this data more thoroughly, you'll also notice that only 13% of men believe that full gender equality has not been reached. Now, somewhat predictably, I suppose, the amount of women in Iceland that believe that gender equality has not been reached was a bit higher than that. According to this poll, 28% of Icelandic women believe that gender equality has not been achieved. But still, only 28%. That's, I mean, think about it next time you see a group of women. So 7 out of the 10 will say that full gender equality has been achieved. Now, naturally, they asked the head honcho of feminism to comment on this poll. Who's that? I'm talking about the head honcho. Yes, right. So when they asked the Prime Minister about this situation, or this poll, I mean, she remarked that in her lifetime, in the past 40 years, there had been many gains made in the battle for equality. However, she claimed that there were still some issues left. Mainly, we still haven't fully dealt with the severe ramification of sexual violence and domestic abuse and issues of that nature. She also said that I am only the second woman to become Prime Minister. However, it's going to take a long time until there have been just as many women and men in this office. And, well, that is an absolute duh. I mean, in 120 years almost, there have only been 2 women, so yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to tell whether or not in future we're going to have just as many women in that office or not. So yeah, maybe hopefully, if this republic is still around 200 years from now, there'll be a point when some reporter, says, probably a floating brain of a reporter in a jar, because, future 200 years ago, or we'll say something like, this particular election we have finally reached the threshold of there having been just as many women as men in office. But, yeah. But 200 years from now, who cares? I mean, Skynet probably only makes their robots in one gender anyway, so they're not going to have to deal with any gender inequality issues, so the future's going to be bright. Now, I don't know what else to say about this poll. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it is true that sexual violence and domestic abuse and other such issues still heavily impact women way more than men. But when it comes to these sort of criminal issues, it shouldn't really matter who the victim is. It's always the crime is the same. But it is, of course, a fact that this affects women more greatly, so I'm not quite sure if I would agree with this notion that we have reached full gender equality in that sense, but I think in terms of employment, education, and all of these tangible, as far as a legal status is concerned, then yes, we absolutely have gender equality in that regard. Hell, Iceland has now, I believe, for 11 years in a row been voted, or not voted, according to some metrics used by the United Nations, I believe, Iceland has ranked as #1 country for gender equality for the past 11 years. So yeah, even New Zealand or Sweden or, God knows what other high standards, gender equality countries you're thinking of, Iceland is on top of that shit and has been now for 11 years, which is remarkable. So, yeah. Guð bless Ísland. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe.